This is Krystel, and we are here for today's episode of Living the Wiccan Life. Today I have a guest, the Rev Don Lewis, and we are going to be talking about spirit guides.
Yes.
So, Don, define spirit guides for me.
Well, in my opinion, spirit guides are the spirits that you work with regularly, whether you have conscious knowledge of it or not, whose purpose in working with you is to help you in your life, to guide you, to give you information. Everybody has this. Everybody has, I'd say, an average of about 5 that they work with, but some people have more, and people who actually do psychic work are going to have more than those who don't.
Right.
Also, the more you work to clarify your connection with your guides, the more likely you are to get good information from them. If you play at it now and then, it won't be nearly as good a connection. If you don't do anything spiritual, then chances are the only time that you will feel their influence is on very important things, in which case you may not really know where it's coming from.
True.
Often, I believe that any guide that you're working with you have known in this or another lifetime, but you may not have conscious knowledge of that because it may not be this lifetime. And the best way to build a relationship with guides is to work with them every day. If you are not clairvoyantly open, talk to them every day. Even though you cannot yet get an answer, it will come. I've found that working with guides, most things do come. Sometimes they take a while. Different guides seem to specialize in different things. Most people have a kind of master guide or gatekeeper who is their primary guide. And then, as I say, a number of others, usually a total of about 5, but for some people many more, who have greater or lesser specialization. Sometimes also you'll have temporary guides who come to you for a particular purpose, often healing of different kinds.
In our family, our primary guides are our immediate family who have passed on. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that this is common for everyone.
It's very unusual, but in our family, we worked with this, and so we develop it even before we die.
Yes.
For example, when our turn comes to die, undoubtedly we will act as guides, because we're already practiced.
That's true.
And for several generations they've been practicing.
Right. And we'll know it from both sides.
Yes. In many cases, you would not see something like that, although it's not entirely uncommon to have a guide from your own family, but usually only if it's a highly spiritual family will you have more than one.
Right.
And most of our families, having been mediums of one kind or another, it is an unusual situation. I would say that in any circumstance such as that, either a family or a group where there are a large number of people who do clairvoyant and other psychic work, that the likelihood that when one or more of them pass on, they will serve as guides to the others is much higher.
Right.
Because they're already doing it in a way while they're alive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only natural they'd continue it on the other side.
Right. I talk in Living the Wiccan Life about dreams a lot because dreams are very important to me, and I think everyone should work with them. And one of the things I have mentioned, I think at least twice in the lessons, is the strangers in your dreams. Mm-hmm. When you dream of someone who is a stranger, but they're very clear, and you see them clearly and sharply, and there's a feeling there that isn't normally. I think it is possible that these people are either active guides or part of your spiritual or soul family that have agreed to work with you between lives.
I would certainly agree, and I would also make the comment that that quality of clarity and immediacy in a dream is often a sign that it's not an ordinary dream, but a kind of psychic working that your conscious mind may distort to a greater or lesser extent, but which is actually going on not in the dream state, but in the astral state.
That is a good point, yes.
Or not in what we normally mean by the dream state.
Right.
Often people will have various kinds of spiritual healing in which their guides take part, in which they experience as a dream, which may take on a very symbolic form, But still, if you know what you're looking for, you can see that it was a spiritual healing. Sometimes these come out seeming to be nightmares because of the amount of energy involved in them. If you wake up during a working where you're working with high-level energy that you're not accustomed to, it's not uncommon for it to trigger a fear response.
True.
So if any of our viewers have had dreams that they woke up from very much afraid, and yet the dream was not frightening, this is probably what has happened.
Very similar to dreams of trying to turn on a light or turn on a radio, but especially a light and you turn it on and it won't stay on, or you can't get it to turn on. Often you're dreaming at a much higher level, but the conscious mind can't follow to that degree. So you bring back the image of not seeing.
Many of the things that we do spiritually are hard for the conscious mind to comprehend. And this is one of the reasons that we use symbolism so extensively. It is possible to experience in symbolic ways things you could not rationalize. And indeed, the great value of symbols is that they bypass that part of the mind,
right,
and work directly with the deeper parts. And dreams are above all symbolic experience.
True. And in terms of altered states of consciousness, Carlos Castaneda, in his Don Juan series, talked about, in one of the later books, Don Juan, I think, hit him on the back or someplace, what he called an assemblage point. And Carlos Castaneda suddenly remembered all of this teaching and experiences he had had in an altered state of consciousness that he wasn't yet able to bring back to the conscious mind.
And I would also point out that when people are doing spiritual work, sometimes quite spontaneously they will realize that they have learned things without having necessarily the conscious knowledge of having done so.
Yes.
Sometimes it will come in the form of dreams, sometimes it will just come as a knowing, sometimes there will be an event such as you describe in the book, which will trigger it. But it is absolutely the case that when you're doing spiritual work, often there are things going on at a soul level that the conscious mind comes to later.
Right.
Sometimes you'll have a symbolic idea of them, sometimes you'll have no idea at all until they hit you.
Yes.
And that's true for not only experiences but skills.
That is true too. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I want to thank the Rev Don Lewis for being my guest today.